Good Tuesday morning to all of you out there in social media world. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Real Living in Chicagoland. And let me bring in my little header here so that both you and I know where we're at. And of course, we confirm we're at the right place at the right time. So here we go. Welcome to today's episode. This week, holiday week, as we get right into the July 4th holiday. Hopefully you and yours are, gonna have big barbecue, fun times. Today's weather, as I look out my window, not so great, but hey, it is summer and, we'll take the best of it when we can get it. So with all of that said today, let me bring in my co-host into the conversation. And today, we have the pleasure of having Stewart join us from his mobile office. So let me give him a nice warm welcome. Let's get his fan base. Let's get his posse to give him a big warm welcome and applause. Here we go, his posse. Don't you just love his posse of sellers and buyers, especially the guy double fisting? I mean, he always cracks me up, right? So all of that said, let me bring Stewart into the conversation. And here we go. Stewart, how do you like
Bill,
that
how are
posse
you?
of yours, man? How did you like that posse of your fan base? They're great, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to comment. Yeah, you got to be careful when you use that term.
but I kept it. I kept it PG. Double fisting.
Yeah.
Fist pumping.
All right.
Saying,
All right. I believe
man.
you. I believe you.
Yeah. Stewart's my man. He got it done for me. Blah blah blah. So Stewart, I see you're in your mobile office today, going from point A to point B.
Yeah, just constantly running around. Right now, I am actually working on my own house today, getting things fixed up and repaired and painted. And, as I was telling you, Bill, before, I bought a place. And so now I'm putting all my experience into my own home. And I got to say, it's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, Stewart, I mean, let's get real with each other. Moving is not easy.
No, it's not easy. It's not fun.
Easy.
And I tell people that I'm like, I don't want to be in your shoes. And here I am in their shoes.
You get a dose of reality. I love it. And I love you being candid, raw, and real with, hey, I know what my clients go through when they're selling with me, when they're buying with me. And thanks for dropping that. So for you and Jody, congratulations as you enjoy your new home. Certainly, maybe in the next upcoming episodes, if you're open to it, maybe you can showcase some parts of this new home that you are migrating into. How's that?
Yeah, actually, Bill, that's a great idea. One of the things that we should do is demonstrate to anybody who's watching our program and anybody who might even be interested, the difference between before and after.
Yeah.
I do live what I preach, right? So I will be able to show what my house looked like when I first bought it,
Right.
and what it looks like when it's done.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even be afraid to, show how much money I put into it. Now, granted, I have a little bit more upscale taste than a lot of people do, meaning, I sometimes might spend a little too much money. In fact, I'm going to go on a little tangent here. My wife had to nix a new dishwasher because when I was at Apt Electronics, they had a Miele dishwasher, which is $1,400.
Good stuff.
You got a $1,400 coffee maker, like one of the best coffee makers in the world, right?
Wow.
And so I was like, I'll buy it.
Yeah. So let me guess, if you drop $1,400 on a coffee maker, you're obviously your own barista. You're not doing a Starbucks thing, are you?
No, no, I'm my own barista. Yes, and I do.
Right.
In fact, little known fact is I used to own a coffee shop.
Really?
So I,
Oh,
yeah, I used to own a coffee shop in my mid 20s, and so I know how to make a lot of coffee drinks, and do all the lattes and the americanos and the espressos, and all of that stuff. So I was sold for the free $1,400 coffee machine. I was in, and my wife was like, "You're effing crazy.
yeah.
No, we're not buying a $1,400 dishwasher just because you get a coffee machine."
But you know what? I must admit, those higher end brand dishwashers, Miele, for sure, they're worth the money because they're quiet, much more efficient, and of course, you can rack and stack a lot more stuff in that dishwasher.
Yeah, the quality was second to none. I mean, it was superb.
Okay,
So, it wasn't just the quality. I mean, the quality was there. It wasn't just the coffee machine. So,
yeah, I
but
hear you.
we
Yeah,
didn't need we didn't need the dishwasher, and we didn't need another coffee machine. Of course, the Keurig I have, it does make espresso and it does do lattes and stuff like that. I have one of those, but um, it's not really needed. So I conceded, and I was like, okay. So I returned it.
well, hey, it just means this, Stuart. Whatever you decide to splurge on, it just means you have to give your wow factor to two more sellers and two more buyers. That's how you do it, right?
Right. For
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
So
For
for
sure.
all of you audience members who are watching today's episode, you heard it from Stuart. He's living the dream. He's living the dream you want to live. And he can speak from experience that it's not always a bed of roses, but he gets it done for himself and for you. And
Yep.
by the way, if you are a coffee connoisseur, that's another reason to hit Stuart up so that he can share some pearls of wisdom about, what to make, how to do it, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, $1,400 on a coffee maker, I look at it this way. Well, shit, if you're going to Starbucks and dropping big bucks every week, do the math. It might be worth it.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it pays for itself if you make your own coffees. And
Yeah.
that's part of the problem today. A lot of people just, don't have the time or don't want to make the time
Right.
to make their own coffee. I'm lucky, my wife is really, really super frugal. I don't eat out for lunch. I don't, go out for breakfast. I come home to a dinner every day. She makes me breakfast every day. She packs me a lunch every day. So, I never have to stop at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
and
And
so, yeah, it would pay for itself, but
yeah.
we're dropping some considerable money on this rehab. So
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. So Jody,
she drew the
if you might,
line.
yeah. So Jody, if you might be watching this episode in your spare time, you heard it from Stuart. He can't say he didn't say it. You're the wow factor, right? You're the wow factor. So, all right, all right. Let's now move into the conversation that we always start with in our episode, Stuart, and that is kind of care to drop what the heck is going on with the real estate market? It seems to be defying gravity, man.
Yeah. So there's still lack of inventory. There seems to be, at least from what I could see, um, prices are not dropping. It's a misconception that they're dropping.
Got it.
What's happening is sellers are overpricing, and
Okay.
so they're speculating that they're going to get a certain amount of money, and at the
Right.
end of the day, the public has said no, we're not going to pay that much, right?
Got
So
it.
the public is starting to pull back a little bit as far as overpaying.
Oh,
Not
really?
like,
Okay.
and again, as we know, when there was 3% interest rates, everybody was overpaying. They didn't care. They were overpaying 3%.
Right.
You can't steal a house for that much, right? So
No.
That was what was happening then. Now with the interest being at 7, people are starting to, pull back the reins a little bit, and they're not going to overpay. They'll pay what's fair. They're listening to the advice of their agents and making offers according to the comparables and what the numbers show. And I know this firsthand because, of course, I am one of those agents that speculates and tries to make my clients the most amount of money. So yeah, sometimes we do price a little high, and sometimes we get close, sometimes we get over. It depends on the staging and how well it looks. But for those people that don't look that great and they overprice, they end up getting knocked down.
Yeah, true that, true that. So that's why you're living the reality of it makes sense to improve a property, kind of like what I know you're doing with your new home, right? There's some things that you might want to DIY, but there's certainly some things that you want to get professionals in to do it, whether it be, maybe improving some of the infrastructure like this couple is doing, or maybe some DIY painting if you're good enough. That's my opinion, right? And just because you
Right.
can DIY something doesn't mean you should always do it, because, Stewart, let's break it down this way. Your time in your professional business is worth some dollars, and maybe it's worth more dollars than what you're going to outsource to another professional. You agree?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. But in my mind, and the way I do things is there's a fine line and there's also a balance, right?
Yeah,
There's certain times that you have to say to yourself, am I doing too much that, yes, I'm taking away from my work and my sales, or am I not doing enough and overpaying, for work to be done?
true,
Um, and some people have no talent whatsoever. I consider myself middle of the road. I have some talent.
true.
Um, but I will say this, a good tip for people and a good secret to people is the easiest thing to do in any project is to take shit apart. There are
Yeah,
many, many
that's good.
DIY, shows and programs that you see where they take shit apart, and then when it comes to putting it back together, they're totally lost, right? And then they got to call in help. So
That's right.
if you have at least a reasonable bit of handy sense and some, you know, workability, taking apart stuff, demoing, prepping for your contractor is worth it.
Yeah,
So you can get a quote from your contractor and then say, does this include everything? Blah blah blah, and they tell you, yeah, it includes everything. Okay, so if I demo the bathroom,
right.
will I get a discount? How much? The same
Yeah,
thing with, a lot of people don't realize carpeting.
yeah,
Carpeting's really, really easy to remove. Really
yeah.
easy. And most carpet guys, if you remove it yourself, they'll give you a $300 credit. They'll take
Oh, nice.
$300 off your bill.
Wow.
So, yes, it's a little bit more work for you as a person, but I could
Right.
honestly say I could strip an entire house, and as long as you have a utility knife with a fresh blade,
Yeah.
you can cut the carpet in 3-foot sections, roll it up, take off your padding, and strip it all in about, depending on how big your house is, but you could strip it all in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, your whole entire house. So,
Love that. Yeah.
at $300, that's $100 an hour. That's
Yeah.
decent
Sure.
money. There's not a lot of people that make $300 on $100 an hour. So,
Yeah.
for me, yeah, do I make more than that? Yes. But that being said, I
Right.
still would save the $100 an hour and do it myself. One, because it just keeps me active, right?
Yeah.
With the work that I do, I don't get to, go to the club and work out all the time and stuff like that. So it's exercise and it keeps me active. It keeps me thinking, keeps me working,
Yeah.
keeps me working with my hands. So that those things are important.
Yeah. I love how you put that into perspective. And I'm sure there's some of our audience members, who are thinking about this as they're listening to, your pearl of wisdom. Like, yeah, I'm that guy. Heck, yes, I'm right there, spot on. And by the way, if you are that guy that has the same vibe as Stewart, if you may be thinking of selling a home or buying a home, stay tuned toward the end of the episode. We'll certainly give you a simple way of how you can engage Stewart to start a live conversation, and or myself along the way. So again, stay tuned. We will make it so easy for you to reach us. Now, let's pivot the conversation today, Stewart, to a topic that I know is a changing landscape, and that is broker compensation. How are you preparing some of your sellers? And I know you've got a lot of sellers that you've helped closed already, and then you've got, you know, some new ones coming onto the market. How are you preparing them for that conversation around broker compensation? By that I mean not your compensation, but compensating the buyer's broker. What are your thoughts there?
So, my conversation to them is that right off the bat, there still is the need for commission to the buyer's agent.
Yep.
And could we hardball and say we're not paying the buyer's commission? Yes. But the reality is that at the end of the day, the buyer will pay more money to compensate his agent.
Right.
So it really is six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. Either you're going to get, you know, and to make numbers easy, either you're going to get $300,000 and pay $5,000 in commission, or you're going to get $295 and pay nothing in commission.
True.
It's the same thing. It really is the same thing. So I explained this to them and I say, look, let's go in under the concept of we're going to offer the commission if they ask for it. 99.9% of the agents are going to ask for it.
Right.
And the way they do that is now, and I've already started to see it come through, even though nothing's supposed to take effect until mid-August. They will send over the addendum. They're labeling it as an addendum for commission that the seller's going to pay commission. And so all it is just explaining it, knowing that it's there, and deciding, you know, is the offer, the net offer, high enough? And that's really what it comes down to. It's no different than what we've been doing for decades with regards to closing costs. Same thing when the buyer asks for closing costs. You know, I still get some sellers who say, why am I paying for closing costs? Well, you're not really. The buyer is. Just look at the net number. That's your number. Don't worry about how it's structured and how it's written up.
Yeah. No, that's a great explanation, and I like how you framed it, which is yes, things are a changing, but it's basically doing what we've been doing. But I think the key, Stewart, is, you know, things are changing because it's compelling us to be more transparent, more communicative with our clients. And I know this about you, and I think you know this about me. We both run our businesses very spot on that way, which is we communicate, over communicate, and we're just flat out transparent. No need to do this a magic shell game like I'm not going to show you what's underneath the shell. No, let's break it out all on the table. Right. Yeah. So with that, as we now move the conversation to this next part, which is I want to pick your brain on how do you help your sellers with what I call red flags when there may be multiple offers, multiple buyers. So let's bring up this listing of yours that you already have under contract. Typical first time home, it's a condo. I love the accent walls. I don't know if that's influenced by you with your seller client, unless they did it themselves. But regardless, I know it's kind of a, you know, it's in great show condition. So in this example, Stewart, talk to me about when you're representing your seller, what are some possible red flags with buyer offers and or their pre-approvals and approvals that you try to avoid and overcome?
Yeah, so some of the red flags are, when a pre-approval isn't exactly a pre-approval, when they just
Bingo.
say, uh, when it comes over and it says, based, like it'll say, based on information you've given me, instead
Right.
of verification of income, verification of assets.
Right.
That's a lot of times what some lenders will send over, and most of the time that just means all they did was check credit. That's it.
Yes. I know.
So really that is a big red flag, because in essence that means it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Love it. Yep.
A good
Spot on.
lender will, run credit, check income, check assets, and make sure that things align at least on that forefront.
Yeah, yeah, spot on. And you and I both know this. Just like in your world of selling and buying real estate, in my world of mortgage money, delivery of financing, um, there's a lot of our peers, right? There's a lot of your peers. There's a lot of my peers. We're not always cut from the same cloth. Meaning, at least on my side, just because you can casually do the credit check, which by the way is a 1-minute exercise, when it comes to verification of income, if the income is complicated, I think you know this, not all lenders have the experience of breaking down complicated income, self-employed households, et cetera, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What's another red flag that you kind of pick up on and you help your sellers overcome?
Another red flag is sometimes when people are willing to overpay,
Mm,
and they have no money down, so they're
yeah,
doing either a 3% loan, or 3.5%, or even 100%. They have no
right.
money down, but they overpay 10, 15,000. At first sight, that looks like, oh my God, we got a great offer. Well, not really, right?
Right, right.
So that's definitely a red flag that needs to be investigated. It
Yeah,
doesn't mean that they're a bad buyer. It just means it needs to be investigated. And unfortunately, in today's marketplace, things are happening so fast that many agents aren't investigating it. They're just saying, yeah, let's go with the highest offer. And
yeah,
then you end up with a problem.
yeah. You need to go with the offer with the right buyer that will perform, that will execute, and magical word that we wait to hear, that will close.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. All right. So, audience members, as I promised, we make it very easy for you to engage us in a conversation. So, how do you go about doing that? It's really as simple, people, as scan the QR codes that you see next to our wonderful headshots. Um, by your doing that, you'll get in touch with us, start a conversation. So whether you are selling and or buying, just like Stewart has recently done for himself, no matter, as you can see, he's always working, mobile office, real office. So, he's ready, willing, and certainly able to start that conversation with you. So, Stewart, thank you for sharing your time with me on today, Tuesday, holiday week. Oh my gosh. Hope you and Jody shoot off some fireworks at your new place.
No, we'll be
No?
working. We'll be working on the house. I've got a boatload of lights to install. I've got quartz coming at noon. I've got my
Gotcha.
flooring guy out, so I'm doing a boatload of stuff on it.
Good,
And
good.
then we
Oh,
got to
one
get ready
question.
to move. We're still
You got
packing.
to, okay. Oh, one last question, because I know you, like me, you and Jody, like me and mine, your dog parents. How are your dogs going to adjust to the new place?
Um, it's going to be a little bit different from them, because we won't have the yard, because we bought a townhouse on the water. So we won't have the
Oh,
yard for them to just run free.
got it.
So that was a little bit of a concern, but um, you know, dogs are
They'll
like kids.
adjust.
They're resilient. They'll figure it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
They'll they'll figure it out. They'll adjust, and or they'll look up at you with their loving eyes and say, "Daddy, Mama, where's the dog park?"
Right. Yeah.
All right, brother. Audience members, that is it for today. Thank you for tuning in and or watching today's episode on demand. So, Stewart, until I see you 4 weeks out, and by then maybe we'll have more to talk about with your new place. How's that?
Awesome.
All right. Take care, buddy. Happy
All right.
holidays,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right. Bye.